This story begins with a lonely Apache woman standing under the blazing sun, tears in her eyes as she whispered, "Nobody wants me, I need a husband." And at that very moment, a cowboy rode by, unaware that her desperate words would change both their lives forever. This is a tale of heartbreak, fate, and a love born from pure courage. If you enjoy powerful Wild West stories, make sure to subscribe, like, share, and comment below. Now, let's begin this unforgettable journey. The sun was falling behind the red cliffs when Eli Carter guided his horse through the narrow canyon, looking for a place to rest before night swallowed the desert. He had spent weeks riding alone, miles of dust on his boots and silence in his heart, but something about this evening felt different. He couldn't explain why. Maybe it was the strange stillness in the wind, maybe the echo of something soft carried between the rocks. He stopped his horse, listening, unsure whether it was a voice or just the land breathing around him in the fading light. Then he heard it again, this time clearer, trembling, human. "Nobody wants me, I need a husband." The words floated through the canyon like a wounded bird. Eli's heart tightened. He dismounted slowly, his hand resting on his revolver out of habit, though something told him this was not danger. He followed the echo, his boots scraping along stone, until he reached a shaded corner where he found her. A young Apache woman sitting alone, her arms wrapped around her knees, her long dark hair hiding half her face as she whispered her pain to no one. Eli stepped forward gently, cautious not to startle her. She lifted her head quickly, fear flashing through her deep brown eyes before softening into something he couldn't name. She looked tired, lost, and heartbreakingly vulnerable. "Ma'am," he said quietly, "are you hurt?" She stood slowly, her voice shaking as she spoke. "My name is Tala, and I have nowhere to go. No one wants me in my tribe. No man wishes to marry a woman carrying sorrow." Her words felt heavy, yet fragile, like glass balanced on the edge of breaking. Eli didn't know what to say at first. He had met many people during his travels, brave ranchers, stubborn outlaws, proud warriors, but never someone who spoke with such open desperation. Tala avoided his gaze as she continued, "I prayed to the spirits for guidance. I thought I came here to cry alone, but then you appeared. Maybe you were meant to hear me." Eli swallowed, unsure how to handle the weight of her hope. "Ma'am, we just met. Marriage, that's not a decision to make in pain." Tala looked down, her fingers twisting the fabric of her dress. "I know, but I have been judged, pushed aside, left alone since my father passed. They say my spirit is heavy, that I bring misfortune, but I only want someone who doesn't fear my sorrow." Eli felt something inside him shift. He wasn't a man easily moved, but Tala's voice carried a truth that pressed directly against his chest. She wasn't asking out of selfishness, she was asking because she had been abandoned by everyone she trusted. And somehow, fate had led her to him in this silent canyon. He glanced at the sky, now deepening into indigo. "You shouldn't stay out here alone," he said finally. "My camp's not far. I can make a fire, give you food, a safe place to rest for the night. We can talk in the morning when the world looks clearer." Tala's eyes widened with something like relief. "Eli, you are kind." He shook his head. "I'm just doing what any decent person should." But deep inside, he knew it wasn't just decency. Something about her pulled him in, something he didn't fully understand yet. They walked together to his camp, and Eli noticed how Tala stayed close, careful with every step, as though afraid he might disappear if she fell behind. When they reached the fire pit, she sat beside the flames, warming her hands, her face glowing softly in the firelight. Eli cooked beans and bread, watching her out of the corner of his eye. She looked small but strong, broken but still standing. When she ate, she kept glancing at him, her expression caught between gratitude and fear. After a while, she whispered, "Eli, I meant what I said earlier." He looked at her carefully. "Which part?" She took a breath. "I need a husband, someone who will not abandon me, someone who won't look at me the way my people do." Eli exhaled slowly, unsure whether her words were desperation or destiny. "Tala, marriage is a promise of the heart, not something asked for because we're scared of being alone." But Tala reached out and touched his hand lightly, so gently he almost didn't feel it. "I'm not asking out of fear. I'm asking because when you spoke to me, I felt hope, a feeling I thought I lost forever." Her touch lingered on his skin longer than he expected, and it stirred something deep inside him, something he hadn't felt in years. Eli looked into her eyes, dark, emotional, searching, and saw a woman who had been carrying the world alone. "Tell me about your sorrow," he said softly. Tala closed her eyes briefly, gathering strength. "My father was my world. He protected me when others whispered that I carried bad luck because my betrothed died in a raid. When my father passed, they said my spirit turned heavy. I became a reminder of loss. No man wanted a wife of shadows. Eli clenched his jaw, anger rising, not at Tala but at the cruelty she had faced. Sorrow doesn't make you dangerous, he said firmly. It makes you human. Tala's eyes softened, her breath unsteady with emotion. You understand more than you think, Eli. They talked for hours, sharing stories, fears, memories. The fire cracked softly as the night deepened, and with every word exchanged, Eli felt the distance between them shrink. By the time the embers glowed low, he realized he didn't want Tala to leave. Not tonight, not ever, but he wasn't ready to admit that. Finally, as the desert air cooled, Tala whispered, Eli, if I ask again, would your answer change? He stared at her, feeling the truth rising inside him like a sunrise he couldn't stop. He wasn't ready to say yes, but he wasn't ready to let her go either. Stay with me a while, he said quietly. Let's see where fate leads us. Tala nodded slowly, hope returning to her voice. Then perhaps the spirits guided me to the right heart after all. And as she settled beside the fire, Eli felt a certainty settle in his chest. Something was beginning between them, something neither could walk away from now. The wind shifted through the canyon, carrying the promise of something deeper, stronger, inevitable. And Eli felt it. This was only the beginning, because whatever tomorrow brought, he knew one truth. Tala hadn't just entered his camp tonight. She had entered his life, and when morning came, nothing would be the same again. Morning arrived quietly, the first rays of sunlight brushing against the canyon walls as Eli opened his eyes. Tala was already awake, kneeling near the river. Her reflection shimmering on the water's surface as she whispered a soft prayer. There was something peaceful about her presence, something that settled the dust inside Eli's chest. He walked toward her and she turned, smiling softly. Did you sleep well? She asked. He nodded, though truthfully he had barely slept. His mind had been tangled in thoughts of her, of fate, of the strange connection pulling them closer. When they left the canyon, they rode side by side, their horses moving in rhythm across the soft red earth. Tala spoke more freely now, telling him stories of her childhood, of her father's teachings, of the warriors who once trained beside her. Eli listened, absorbing every word, drawn to the strength beneath her gentleness. As they approached a small frontier town, Tala grew quiet, watching wagons roll by, children running in the dust, women hanging laundry in the warm sun. She seemed torn between curiosity and fear, unsure of how this new world would judge her. Eli guided her gently through the town, buying her a blanket, some bread, and a blue dress she admired shyly from the mercantile window. When she held it, her voice trembled. No one has ever given me something without wanting something in return. Eli met her gaze with steady eyes. You deserve kindness, Tala. She looked at him a long moment, long enough for him to feel something warm and unfamiliar building between them. But even as her heart opened, a shadow lingered in her expression, a reminder of the pain she carried from her past. They found a quiet cabin to rest in for the night, its lantern casting a soft glow across the wooden walls. Tala sat near the window, staring out at the fading light. Eli could see her thoughts drifting far away. What's troubling you? He asked. She hesitated before answering. My tribe sees me as a burden, and I worry the world beyond might see me the same. Eli moved closer. I don't see you as a burden. You're stronger than most people I've ever met. She looked at him, eyes glistening, and whispered, You say it with such certainty that I almost believe it myself. That night, as silence settled around them, Tala turned toward Eli with a vulnerability that made his heart ache. Eli, do you think love can grow from sorrow? He took her hand gently. Sometimes that's exactly where love begins. Her breath caught, her fingers tightening around his. For the first time, she didn't hide her longing. She didn't hide her fear. She let him see all of her. And Eli, with a tenderness he didn't know he possessed, promised quietly, If you want me. If you want us, I'll stand by you. Tala leaned in, and for a moment the world outside faded into nothingness. The next morning, Eli made a decision. He saddled their horses and said, Tala, let's go see your people. Her eyes widened in surprise. My tribe? But why? He stepped closer, brushing his thumb across her cheek. Because if we're going to begin something real, it shouldn't start with running away. Tala hesitated, fear flickering through her expression, but Eli's steady presence gave her courage. They rode toward her homeland, the red cliffs rising like ancient guardians around them. Tala's heart pounded with every mile, memories of judgment, whispers, and rejection flooding her mind. When they arrived, the Apache camp fell silent. Men and women turned, eyes sharp, whispers spreading quickly. Tala's aunt stepped forward, stunned to see her alive. "You left without a word," she said sternly. Tala lowered her head. "I left because I felt unwanted. I felt that my sorrow made me unworthy. But I have found someone who does not fear my spirit." Murmurs rippled through the camp as Eli dismounted, standing tall but respectful. An elder approached, studying him carefully. "And who are you, Cowboy?" Eli met his eyes firmly. "A man who sees her value, a man who won't let her carry grief alone." Silence hung heavy until the elder spoke again. "Tala, your father was a brave warrior. He would have wanted you to find someone who honors your heart. This man, if he chooses to take you as his wife, must prove his intentions." Eli stepped forward. "Name what I must do." The elder nodded. "A test of honesty, strength, and loyalty." Eli accepted without hesitation. From running trails to showing his skills with a bow and enduring a night alone in sacred grounds, he proved himself with calm determination. By dawn, the tribe accepted him, not as an outsider, but as a man worthy of Tala's heart. Tala's eyes filled with tears as the elder placed a hand on her shoulder. "Your sorrow never cursed you, child. It only needed someone who could carry it with love." She turned toward Eli, her voice trembling. "Eli, do you still want to marry me?" He stepped closer, lifting her chin gently. "I didn't ride all this way to say no." Before the rising sun, surrounded by cliffs and ancestors, they exchanged vows, simple, heartfelt words that bound their souls. Tala placed her palm over Eli's heart, and he placed a carved feather pendant around her neck, sealing their promise forever. They built a home together between the canyon and the open plains, raising horses, learning each other's worlds, and creating a life free from fear or judgment. Tala's laughter filled the house. Eli's steady presence gave it strength. Wherever they traveled, whether among the Apache or the settlers, people whispered of their devotion, of how two wounded souls found healing in each other. And on quiet nights, when the stars shimmered across the desert sky, Tala would whisper with a smile, "Nobody wanted me until you." Eli would pull her close and reply, "No, you were never unwanted. You were waiting for the man who could truly see you."